Welcome back again. Hopefully, this isn't your first time. If it is, bear with me. You might like it, you might not. If you don't, hope you fall out of your car or something. So, first and foremost, guys, I finally finished the book. I know I said it was last weekend, and to be honest with you, it really was done last weekend. Just haven't had a chance to post yet. Also needed some final editing and stuff like that. So, it's still not perfect. Just setting the expectation out there. I am not a professional writer. I just enjoy it. Clearly, I like talking football. So I made the book really to help somebody out there, also to be kind of cathartic for myself. So if you want it, it's a free product. It's a free PDF, all that kind of stuff for now. Initially, I was going to put it on Amazon, and at some point that may still be the plan. But at least for now, especially for you guys who've been watching the channel and looking forward to this, it's all going to come out there. It's not my real name on the book. That's just for purposes that we're not going to talk about. But that being said, if you want this book, it's about almost 100 pages long, and it's really just going into algorithms, how to create your algorithms, how to set them up, what's in them, what's not in them, as well as going over some data for key numbers, play styles, and just a few other things that are going to come up throughout the year. And so you can always just watch the videos, but if you want to go a little in depth and maybe kind of find out how to do it yourself, the book's available. Just message me, comment this video, whatever you want, just saying you want it. I just need a way to get it over to you. Email is preferable. So that's the first bit of news, but let's get into bigger news, which is that Madden finally released their rankings or their ratings for every player in the NFL. So I do have the algorithms up and going, up and running, whatever you want to say. They are not completed on my end, so I still have about 2 or 3 more teams that I want to work on. If you've been watching this channel for a little while, you probably know that when it comes to the Madden algorithm, it doesn't take too much time, but it is a little involved because you have to get into each individual team. You have to go over their depth chart and kind of all sorts of stuff. So we'll go over that in another video if you haven't seen it before. This is what it looks like. And also kind of a caveat to this, because we are still, about a month or so away, or even longer than that, from kickoff, right? From the very first game. Some of these numbers are going to change. Some of these guys are going to get hurt. Some of them are not going to show up for training camp if they didn't already. Some of them are just going to get traded, cut, whatever. So some of these numbers are going to change. Typically, I know we hear that a lot from just general public, right? Hey, why should I start handicapping? Why should I put money down? Why should I do anything with the NFL before the week before kickoff? So number one, you're gonna get better lines if you're betting the NFL this early. Number two, though, is that while yes, some of these guys are gonna get hurt, and some of them are gonna get cut or traded or whatever the case is, or there may be new players coming onto the team. The fact of the matter is these numbers are really not going to change all that much because of, a left guard getting hurt or because of a right outside linebacker getting hurt. The only one that's really going to make a significant difference is typically the quarterback, and obviously most, if not all, teams are being very careful and cautious with their quarterback throughout the preseason, throughout off training, or training camp, or whatever else they're doing. So it's not necessarily a bad time to start putting some money in. I myself already have about 2 plays in. You guys probably already know at least what they are. The first one was the Bills-Rams game, or the Rams-Bills game, I guess I should say. I did get them at Rams +1. For those of you wondering why I took a +1, at the time of me taking that, the money line for the Rams was still -110, but the +1 was available at -110 as well elsewhere. So I went ahead and just grabbed the point. What is it going to hurt? I don't think that game is going to necessarily be all that close, and we'll kind of get into that here in a second. But let's get into the algorithms. So I have worked through the 49ers game, the Broncos game, the Chargers game, and the Patriots game, as well as the Ravens game. So I've worked through a total of 5 games so far. We still have 1, 2, 3 to actually put into the Madden algorithm. There really has not been a lot of value presented just yet. with this Madden algorithm, and there's only one game, and we'll go over that. But the 49ers Bears, so per Madden algorithm, and if you don't know, again, how to set this up, it's really just using the Madden game and the rankings of each individual player to create a spread between the two teams. And usually you see the spread be pretty accurate, at least throughout the first, let's say, 4 weeks of the season, because it's very similar. It's like a power ranking. It's just a different way to make it. And I'll be honest with you, Madden has a lot of skin in the game when it comes to ranking these players, to putting out their game, to being accurate, to being as lifelike as possible for several different reasons. Many of them that are worth millions, if not billions of dollars. So I trust their rankings, and this has proved to be successful the last couple of years, especially early in the season. Either way, right now, the 49ers Bears, Madden has them ranked as almost a pick 'em. It does have the 49ers as slight favorites, about a half a point favorite. The current spread, though, is 49ers -6. Now, before I work through this ranking here, I actually liked the 49ers, and I was even thinking I might end up putting something down on them. Now, obviously, right now, I'm not going to do that unless something changes. I think on paper and just like a narrative that I have in my head is the 49ers should come out and beat the Bears. We've all heard about how bad the Bears are going to be and how terrible they are. Justin Fields still being such a young player, and really, I know he obviously played all of last year, didn't have a whole lot of help from his coaching staff, so I think this is his first real season where he has a good coaching staff, he has people around him to help him, all that kind of stuff. That being said, because they do have a new coach, I typically give coaches that are brand new anywhere from about 14 to 17 points when it comes to kind of trying to handicap them. I also have pulled up the coaching grade sheets from last year. I am in the middle of updating it for this year. Again, this is the second algorithm, and if you're familiar with the channel, you know this is one that kind of gets more accurate as time goes on. So they both of these are going to work in conjunction with each other. The Madden one starts out hot, starts kind of fading out after about week 4 through 6. The coaching algorithm does start a little bit slower, a little bit less accurate, but ramps up and gets more accurate as we get more data points. So after about week 5 or 6, this becomes super accurate or more accurate than the Madden algorithm. So we kind of switch back and forth. But for right now, we're going to use a lot of last year's numbers, so not taking this to heart too much. But all of the brand new head coaches, of which there are 7, I believe, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there are 8 new coaches now. About 7 of them are brand new head coaches. Doug Peterson obviously has coached before. But that being said, these guys who are absolutely brand new, especially these guys here in red, I'm really only looking to give them about 14 points a game. I did forget that the Buccaneers have added Todd Bowles recently, so that's going to be another change. Now, Bowles is kind of in a weird situation in the fact that he is actually himself not a great coach, but he's going to get a lot of benefit from having Tom Brady on the field, so kind of having a better coach on the team that's not listed as the head coach. That being said, though, just keep in mind that when I'm going through the Madden algorithms, on the top right here, I'm going to have a prediction for the score. It's going to be pretty generic for right now, more key numbers like touchdowns and things like that. But when it comes to brand new head coaches, it's either going to be 14 or 17 for the most part. We don't have a lot of data points to go off of. We don't have a lot of worksheets and spreadsheets and all that kind of stuff to kind of formulate a number. So it's going to be 14 or 17. In the case of the Bears, I'm really only giving them 14 because of the coaching situation, because of the lack of talent on the receiving end, because Justin Fields, this is really going to be his first time having all that help around him. Because the offensive line isn't really that good, because the defense isn't really all that great. To just look at it bluntly, the defense for the Bears is listed as, let's call it 38 points. And that's, being generous or rounding up, I guess, right? but of the teams that I have handicapped so far, that's actually the lowest. Now the highest is about like 41, like the 49ers have. So 1 point is actually relatively significant when it comes to trying to rank the defenses with this algorithm, but especially 4 points, that's a huge spread. So the 49ers have the huge advantage on defense, have an advantage on offense, just all over. So I really like the 49ers to win that game. I think that they can cover the spread. The algorithm just doesn't reflect that. Also, though, it's kind of up for change still with Madden with these really young quarterbacks. And by really young quarterback, I'm not talking about Justin Fields. I'm talking about Trey Lance. As of right now, they've given him a 72. That could change, of course, if he comes out and lights the world on fire. Could be worse, obviously, if he's worse than expected. But that's where they're at right now. So if anything, I may look to tease this game down and just get it down to a pick'em, or I might just stay away from it altogether. Next is the Broncos Seahawks game. Now this one, right now it's currently listed as Broncos -5. The Madden algorithm has it at about a 3-point spread, so not a huge difference. With the prediction, this one does kind of go against what we're saying. It's mainly because the Broncos have Nathaniel Hackett, so he's also a new coach. I am giving him the 17 as the expected point variation, only because he has Russell Wilson. He has a good offense. He's got lots of veteran players all over the field. Russell Wilson, while not Tom Brady, is probably still going to be a coaching factor while actually in play. Defensive side of the ball is good, not great, but can definitely stop. A Seahawks team is going to be pretty one-dimensional, especially with somebody like Geno Smith. So again, this is another one where I'm expecting the Broncos to win this game. I think it may be kind of a lower scoring affair, but I do think that the Broncos win. I think they actually do probably cover that 5. The algorithm just isn't really predicting a whole lot of value there. If you wanted to take the value with this algorithm, so far you'd be going with the Bears and the Seahawks. I'm definitely not playing the Seahawks, especially only with the 5. Possible chance that I will go with the Bears if they get to a 6.5 or a 7, just to go ahead and give me the key numbers and say that Trey Lance isn't going to cover a full touchdown in his first real official start with the 49ers. Chargers, the next one is Chargers-Raiders. The spread right now is 3. The algorithm does say that the spread should be just a little bit larger. It should be almost 3.5 for the Chargers. And in some places it is already 3.5. So you'd have to go out there and look for that 3. I actually do really like the Chargers in this game. Aside from just the algorithm, or the Madden algorithm, my coaching prediction does have it at 28-17. Again, the Raiders are another team with a first-year head coach that's just joined the team. Now, Josh McDaniels has actually coached before, which is why I gave him the 17, not the 14. But the teams that he's coached before have all pretty much had losing records. I believe the best year he's had was something like 4-12 or somewhere around there. So not a whole lot to get excited about there. I really do think the Chargers are not only going to win this game, I think they're going to do it pretty handily. I think they're going to more than cover that 3.5 or 3-point spread. And I think that, now you try to stay away from narratives, but I think they're pretty pissed about the way that they lost last year. And I could see them taking some extra chances to come out of the gates hot with this one. Now, that being said, aside from the Raiders having a new coach, which, again, it's not terrible. Typically, new coaches are going to catch on pretty quick in the NFL. If he catches on at all, I really don't have a whole lot of faith in McDaniels. But I think the Chargers are going to come out and smash this team because of his lack of experience and because it's just his first time with a new team. Probably doesn't have everything down just yet. While the Chargers are going to keep rolling, they've been, they're rolling out for I believe the 3rd or 2nd year with Staley, and as well the 3rd year with Herbert. I just don't really see a way the Chargers drop this game, but who knows, right? The Chargers will charge on you, and it's kind of their MO. That being said, though, they really have every single advantage all up and down the field when it comes to their line, when it comes to their defense. I believe the only spot that is a little bit better for the Raiders would be like the receiving core, and that's strictly Devontae Adams. Other than that, Chargers just every which way have an advantage, especially with the coaching, and I do believe that's going to be a huge deciding factor here in this game, especially because it is a divisional matchup. So I'd be looking to take the Chargers, buy it down to the 3 if you can only find the 3.5, and get the key number. Again, if you're new to the channel, one of the notes we always say here is if you're going to buy a number, only do it for key numbers. Don't go from like a 4.5 to a 5 or 5 to 4 or whatever. Don't do that. There's no point in doing that one particular point. If you can go from a 3.5 to a 3, do that, but don't buy it below the 3. Buy it to the key number. Don't go through the key number when it comes to buying points. So you're just going to go to the 3, grab the key number. So I do like that play. I have not actually made that one official, as in I have not put the money down on that one just yet, but I do really like that play. And actually, I'm going to save that one for last. The Ravens-Jets game is the next one here. So this one's actually sort of showing some value for the Jets. The current spread is 6. The Madden algorithm does say that the spread should be about 2.5, just strictly going off of ranking the players. Now, going off the coaching prediction score, and there are no new coaches in this game. This is just the predictions from last year. Would have the Ravens winning 24-17. So by a full touchdown and covering that spread. Now, why is this Madden algorithm not showing a whole lot of value here? Well, number one, the Ravens receiving core is really not all that great. It's actually ranked less than the Jets. The biggest advantage for the Ravens, of course, is Lamar Jackson himself. When it comes to defense, the Ravens do have almost a full point over the Jets defensively, but the Jets really are most likely going to try to kind of keep it out of Zach Wilson's hands, so I don't see a whole lot of room opening that one up. If anything, I may look to play this under, but for right now, I love the Ravens. Actually thinking I'm still going to put some money down on it, even though the algorithm isn't showing a whole lot of value with this one. The Ravens' track record of just winning the first game out of the season is just huge. It's too big to pass up. Usually when they play a team that we don't expect to be very good, that we don't expect to be over 500, they not only win, they not only cover, but they just beat the shit out of first teams. And a lot of that does go into preseason. You know, the Ravens are notorious for really trying in preseason, getting everything out of those players that they can, even if and when injuries come up, like last year when J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards both got hurt in the preseason. They didn't stop trying to win. They still won all of their preseason games. And to me, it's kind of a mental aspect. If these guys have been in it, they've been trying to win games and not just going through the motions for 3 weeks by the time week 1 rolls around, whereas their opponent may still be kind of trying to ramp up their effort levels and trying to get back into like midseason form. So I still think the Ravens win this game. I still think they cover. One of the things that we're going to kind of go over this year with handicapping is transforming your thought processes and kind of finding these spots. I think that most handicappers go on the same scale or kind of on the same path of you start off as being just like a pure heart gut picker, right? Like this team is better than this team, I'm going to play it. Then you start getting introduced to numbers and algorithms and whatever else you're doing, and you start kind of relying on those numbers and thinking like, okay, the numbers say this, so I can't touch it unless this is going to give me a certain amount of value. And that's great until a certain point where you still got to use your eyeballs. You still got to know kind of what's going on the field. Numbers are great, obviously I love them, but you still got to know these teams, and you got to know some of the narratives that go along with it, whether it's players, teams, coaches, GMs, infighting within the teams, whatever it is. Just play style is another big one that you have got to be aware of. You don't necessarily need to watch every single minute of every single game either to know the play style, but you should at least try to watch them, because it will give you a handle on how coaches like to approach the game, how they like to start the game, kind of where their mindset is at on a neutral playing ground. If you tune in like just for the fourth quarters, it's really not fair. It's really not helping you any either, because the team that's down is going to be playing completely differently than they would in like the first half, right, where they're just trying to kind of run their own game. So all of that goes into it. It's not just a numbers game anymore, and I do believe the Ravens are a prime example of that in week 1, and I think that I'm still probably laying the 6 with this team. If anything, this might be the other leg of that teaser with the 49ers. So the 49ers Ravens tease to just get down to 2 pick'ems. So the last one here, and this is the one that does actually present some value. So first, as far as the coaching is concerned, the Dolphins do have a new coach this year. And I'm sorry, guys, if I'm harping on this, but if you don't know, this channel is huge on coaching picks and coaching algorithms and just the aspect of the coaching advantage or disadvantage for certain teams. In this case, Mike McDaniel for the Dolphins. I think he's a fine coach, or he will be, hopefully, coming from San Francisco. He's got a good, pedigree. He's got a good background. I think he knows what he's doing. That being said, though, again, prior in the summer, put out a video showing that first-time head coaches only win 25% of the time, and of that, they really only cover about 30% of the time. So in this game, while everyone is focused on the players that the Dolphins have added, because they've made some splashy plays, they've added Tyreek Hill, they've added some linemen, they've added some defensive players. That's all great, but the coach still has to kind of get them there. The coach still needs to be in place to get them the win. And I think in this case, because we have a first-time head coach, very first game that he'll be coaching, we really give the advantage to the Patriots here with Bill Belichick. Bill has a terrific track record of beating not only rookie quarterbacks, but just taking advantage of these new head coaches and being able to just out-coach them, out-chess match them, and come away with the win. Last year, the Patriots should have won this game. This is also a Week 1 matchup. The final score of 17-16, Patriots marching down the field for a win, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown. And then Damian Harris, of course, fumbles the ball with about, I believe, like a minute left in the game. Dolphins recover. They win the game 17-16. So last year, obviously different team because there were different players, different coaches, different everything. The Patriots should have won that game. This time around, players are better for the Dolphins. Coach is still kind of to be determined, but I think the first game is where you want to get him. That's kind of where you want to pick on him. Right now, the current spread is 2.5 points for the Dolphins. So Patriots are actually dogs by 2.5. This is the other play that I've gotten on. So I had the Rams +1, and I have the Patriots money line at +130. Now, I do believe you are going to see some more money come in on the Dolphins because the Dolphins are just now starting to get hyped. The training camp has started. People are finally becoming aware that they've added Chase Edmonds, they've added Tyreek Hill. They have all these great pieces coming in. They have an offense that is now finally made for Tua. Jalen Waddle's still there. Lots of really great positives for the Dolphins, and I think you're going to hear that talked up a lot while you are starting to hear the kind of opposite for the Patriots and how bad their offensive line is, how bad their cap hits are from last year, how they don't really have any receivers. You're going to hear a lot of negative news about the Patriots. Just like the stock market, guys, you want to buy on the bad news and sell on the good news. And I think that this is the prime week to get the Dolphins before they get their coaching down, before they get their players in rhythm, before they get really going with the year. I think the Dolphins are going to have a great year and could be a playoff contender. But I think if you're going to get them early, that's the best time to try and get them before that coaching staff knows what the hell it's doing. They do have a kind of rough first 4 weeks or so. And then I believe it's weeks like 5 through 13. Something around those numbers, 5 through 12, sorry, just corrected. They have the easiest schedule in the NFL from weeks 5 through 12. So those first 4 weeks are crucial because they're going to need to win at least 2 games. But again, could be hard with the coach trying to kind of play catch up, especially with, when you're playing against guys like Bill Belichick, right? So offensively, just the players on the field, the advantage is slightly to the Dolphins. The algorithm actually has it to the Patriots, but I just personally disagree with that. I think the Dolphins have just a slightly better team on paper. Again, this is strictly a coaching play, but I really like it because the algorithm says this should be a 1 point favorite at most. That is, the Dolphins should be a 1 point favorite at the very most. And currently, you're getting almost 3 points, 2.5 points with the Dolphins. If the line doesn't move, I would just say buy it to the 3 again for the Patriots. I apologize for the Patriots. We're going to try to get it to the 3. So 2 options here. Either one, just continue waiting, because again, as we get more news, I think you are going to see some more buy-in on the Dolphins, which could pop this number up to the 3 naturally. And at that point, you want to jump on Patriots plus 3. If not, just wait until we get closer to kickoff here. And if you absolutely need to, you just buy that last half point to the key number of 3. This is a divisional game. I expect it to be low scoring. My coaching grades have this at 21-14. It might not even be that. It might be something like a 20-17 kind of score. I do think this, if you're going to play the totals here, you're probably leaning under. But Patriots and the under would be both of my selections, with the Patriots being the stronger play here. So Patriots plus 3 on this one. So that's it, guys. That's a couple picks. It's a couple updates with the algorithm, the books, all that kind of other stuff. If you need anything, please reach out to me on Twitter. It's at AG_sports21. Comment on the video, like it, subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Like I said, I'm not here really trying to pitch you guys anything, trying to sell you anything. Maybe I'll get some affiliates throughout the year that we'll kind of talk about, but it's not a huge deal. This is really mainly just a work of, love and passion, right, for football, for the NFL, for everything. So if you guys want to just, shoot the shit about football, discuss something, there's something you see, there's a play you really like, throw it in there, man. I'm happy to talk about it, and I'm sure other people are as well. So hopefully everybody out there is staying safe. Have a great week. We're almost to football season. Don't forget that we do have a play on the Hall of Fame game, which is under 33.5. We got that earlier in the summer. So for the Hall of Fame game, if you haven't already grabbed it, grab the under 33.5. I believe it's down to 33 at this point, but there may be some half points still floating around out there. Thanks again. Have a great week, and good luck.